Hello everyone again. As you can tell, I have the same background, same shirt, but different earrings than my last video that's up on my channel, which was my review of Serpent and Dove. I'll leave a link of that down below. But as I mentioned in that video, this video is going to be my hopefully pretty much spoiler-free review of Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman. As you can see, it looks so beautiful, and it has a Target sticker. Shout out to Target, love you, girl. Or boy, I don't know, Target, love you. Anyway, if you are interested to seeing my thoughts and opinions about this book and trying to contain my spoiler-loving mouth, please stay tuned and continue to watch. Anyway, thanks so much for returning, guys. Again, I know hopefully this video is going up much faster than the Serpent and Dove video has gone up compared to all my other previous videos. So today I'm going to be reviewing the second book in the Scythe trilogy by Neal Shusterman, and I read Scythe actually last year, and Thunderhead was, I believe, already out or just came out by the time I finished reading Scythe. And so I bought this one right after because I thought Scythe was an amazing book. I was captivated from beginning to end. So I was like, I need the second book. So I went out and bought it right away. And now you might be wondering, like, Dana, if you bought it last year, why are you reviewing it just now? And why didn't you finish it until now? So yeah, those are all valid questions and whatever else. My reasoning is just basically life kind of got in the way and I didn't have time or kind of the energy to read Thunderhead as fast as I read Scythe. So yeah, man. So anyway, Thunderhead basically takes place a year after the ending of Scythe. So Rowan is kind of a rogue Scythe. He's out on his own. He doesn't have any kind of mentor, and he dresses all in black and goes by the name of Scythe Lucifer. He gleans all of the Scythes that he believes are gleaning people in an unjust and pretty ruthless manner in this book. Citra, on the other hand, is now known as Scythe Anastasia. Citra still has her mentor, Scythe Curry, in this story, and she is basically the opposite of Rowan. She gleans people in a very, I wouldn't say traditional, but a very kind way. Basically, she gives the people a heads up about a month ahead of when she's going to glean them, and this allows that person to kind of get their life in order, let their family and friends know, and be prepared for when they are going to be unable to come back to life ever again. She gleans people with a lot of compassion, and she doesn't agree with this new order that has basically been rising up in Thunderhead, which they just do and glean however way they feel like doing it and how they want to do it. It's not like they're following any kind of steps or protocol or kind of doing it in a justful way or feel like they have the duty to kind of honor people. Even though the person has been alive for like hundreds of years, they don't feel any type of way. They sometimes even like enjoy gleaning and they just kill basically to kill and maybe even for the fun of it, which a lot of people from the old order, I guess you could say, don't agree with, don't appreciate. They think the new order is putting a bad name to Scythe. In Thunderhead, Citra's life is actually threatened, which isn't common for a Scythe. Scythes are supposed to be untouchable and respected, but her life is threatened, and the book asks the question, will the Thunderhead intervene? Because traditionally, I'm not sure if exactly it's a law, the Thunderhead has no control over the Scythedom or cannot intervene with the Scythedom. So that is the big question and mystery in this book. Neal Shusterman, I gotta give you major props. I have never read a book by this gentleman until Scythe, and just like Scythe, he leads you on one heck of a roller coaster ride in Thunderhead that will definitely not disappoint you from beginning to end. It is very hard for me to find a book or an author, and like stepping out of my comfort zone of authors that I know and have like thousands and thousands of reviews, for me to kind of give them a shot. And I'm so glad I did, because his books, Scythe and Thunderhead both, are fantastic. I cannot praise this man enough. Thank you so much for having the imagination that you have and for letting me experience or enjoy a book that is something I traditionally would not go for or read. You know, you think something is going to happen one way, but then Neal writes it totally different, or, you know, throw something at you out of nowhere that's like, oh my gosh, that makes sense, or, you know, I can't believe I didn't see this coming. Like, I could not predict anything in this book. I kept having to read it. I kept having to continue like, oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Because things that I thought might have happened didn't even happen. So that is awesome. And always I appreciate books that can surprise me, excite me, and make me feel connected to the characters and are worried about them and all that fun stuff. I really did enjoy the new character that was introduced in this book. His name is Grayson, and he's just a normal human. He's not a Scythe. He's not anything special, but he has his own voice in this book. He is a very distinct character. He's a very important character in this book, and it was really written very well into this story. It made sense. It flowed. It wasn't like Neal came up with a character and just like plopped him down and you were expected to just be okay with it. In this case, I was totally okay with it. I was excited about it, and I was glad to kind of get the perspective of somebody who wasn't a Scythe. I mean, granted, in Scythe, both Rowan and Citra weren't Scythes from beginning to end. You did get to see that whole process, but the fact that he's around the same age as them and not a Scythe is great as well. And Grayson, the way Grayson is written, in my opinion, in this book, is he's a character that, for me, and maybe I do this with many other characters who I don't really know are like good, it's like, I don't know, or I didn't know whether or not Grayson was going to be doing the right thing in this book or the wrong thing, or if his opinion could change about anything, because he is a normal human, and it's human nature to kind of develop and change, whether it's in a good way or a bad way. You know, it's still, everyone is always progressing in one way or another. So I really wasn't sure if he was going to be a good character and an asset to Rowan and Citra, or somebody who could maybe start out that way and then flip and turn and suddenly become evil. So I was always curious about that in this book as well, and you have to read to find out. But the great thing about Grayson too is he's very, very close to the Thunderhead. And even though the Thunderhead is this super intelligent AI, artificial intelligence, the Thunderhead kind of helped Grayson grow up from as far back as Grayson can remember till the age that he is now in the book. So it's very interesting as well, because I wouldn't have assumed that people in the book would just, even though they can live forever and ever or until they're gleaned, that they wouldn't really be taking too much care of their children, or kind of just be letting them do whatever they want because they don't care. They can have as many kids as they want. They can live for as long as they want until their time is up. So I thought that was awesome to have in the book, that Grayson was basically raised by the Thunderhead. Another thing I loved about this book is I love that we got to experience more world building. We got to dive deeper into the Scythedom and basically the hierarchy within the Scythedom. So I really enjoyed that. And I love that we learned about a new group of people, or how people can be classified as like an unsavory, which are basically people that break the law. They do bad things. They dress a certain way, kind of crazy, and they can do things to their body, like give themselves horns and all that fun stuff, but they're labeled as unsavories and possibly dangerous to the public, and I thought that was fascinating as well. And I loved how they were seen and treated by people in this world too. It was interesting that basically, just based on the way you looked, which might be different than mostly everyone else, that they were treated in a different way and not as nicely as those who were kind of like treated, or those who were dressed a certain way. So I like that, not only, you know, in today's day and age, like if you dress a certain way, people might look at you like a little funny, but it also was happening in this book too. I also really enjoyed reading more about the dynamics between Citra and Curry. I really like them as a pair. I know Scythe Curry has really taken Citra under her wing, almost like, maybe, I don't know if like I'd say adopted daughter, but really as like a student and somebody, and they both respect each other a lot and they trust each other a lot, which is very important in this story. And they genuinely care about one another, which is great. And it's also a contrasting relationship to the one that Rowan and Goddard had. Because if you read Scythe, you know what happened to that turtle. So I like that as well. It's unfortunate that Rowan had to go or be mentored by a Scythe like Goddard, but we also got to see that all senior Scythes or high-ranking Scythes are as terrible as Goddard, and that there are Scythes like Scythe Curry who are still famous, but famous for in a more respected way. So don't get me started on that Goddard fool. Ugh. The ending of this book, oh my god, it just had me just like my mouth was open. It was wide open, like I was catching flies or whatever, and I was just like, I just couldn't believe how this book ended. I was like, oh my god. So I was totally surprised and totally like, what just happened? What happened? And I was sitting there like, no, for the whole last chapter. Like, no. But it was great. It was still great. I don't hate the ending. I'm still hopeful for the next book, and I am super excited for the final book that's coming out this year. So it paid to not read this book until a couple weeks ago, because now I don't have to wait as long for the last book in the series. See? One of the only critiques I can think of for this book in particular, and it's so cheesy and lame, but you know me, I'm all about that romance. And I really didn't see, or I really wanted more moments, whether they were romantic or not, but I definitely wanted more scenes with Rowan and Citra, you know, because I am rooting for them. I am really hoping that there's going to be a time in the Scythedom and in this world where Scythes can get married and all that fun stuff and kind of have somewhat of a normal life, and that Rowan can be, should he repent for what he's doing, sure, probably in some type of way, but that he'll be free and he can live a normal-ish type of life, and that he can be with Citra in some kind of way. I don't know. I mean, I think something happened at the end of this book, though. But, I mean, in all honesty, that's my only thing I would have liked to change, add, you know, whatever about this book. But I was not disappointed at all. Fantastic book. And as you can probably guess, I am giving this book a 5 out of 5 stars. From the characters, to the world building, to the conflicts and the resolutions, and just everything. Just everything was what I could have wanted and more. So I totally recommend this book. You guys, if you have not read the Scythe series or the first Scythe in this book, you need to read it. Even if you think you're going to be like, you're not really interested or you don't really go for this or these type of books, you will not be disappointed, because I would have never picked up this book unless I thought for 1 second, and I saw that cheap Target price, that, you know, I was like, you know what, I'll give this a shot. And I'm so glad I did, because this is probably one of my favorite series of all time, and I cannot wait until the last book comes out. Check it out. You won't be disappointed. If you liked my hopefully spoiler-free review today, please feel free to give a thumbs up, like, subscribe, you know, or just come back next time. If you've read these books or have any book recommendations, please let me know in the comments down below. I usually respond to mostly all comments I get, and I enjoy learning what you liked, what you didn't like. If you thought the same thing or had a different opinion, you know, feel free to share it. Thank you guys again so much. I will see you next time. Goodbye.